Now, should I amortize my rental property over 30 years? In my opinion, yes and no. If you're financially very literate and you're on top of your numbers and on top of your game, then when you're borrowing money at 3%, 3.5%, 4.5%, 5.5%, 6%, which is relatively low for a commercial loan, you're getting money relatively cheap. So why not stretch that out over 30 years, increase your positive cash flow? Good morning, everyone. This is Alex Deacon, and today's topic is a question I get asked all the time. And I was listening to a podcast this morning, and it wasn't on this topic, but he mentioned it, and I thought, well, that's actually a really good one to discuss, and it's fairly simple and quick. We'll just use this for when you're buying investment property. Now you can amortize an investment property loan over 30 years. They're a little harder to find, especially if you're an LLC and it's more of a business loan. But you can find 30-year mortgages. They're a little bit higher interest rate. I think, for example, let's say the interest rates are 4% for a 15-year fixed, if you can find it. Might be 4.25 for a 20-year, might be 4.38 for a 25-year, and then it might be 5 for a 30-year. You have to look at all the variables. One of my partners or a couple of my partners, they like the idea of getting things paid off quicker. And the reason being is they've been in the business a long time. They are counting on getting these properties paid off and having them generate income. And that's it. That's their business plan. They're older in age, and that's how they're looking at it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I have some of my properties that are 15-year notes. Most of them are a standard on a business loan, a 20-year note with a 5-year adjustable. So what happens if you start at 4% after year 5, it will go up or down depending if the rates have gone up or down. And there's a ceiling. If the rates have tripled, it can't triple, but it can go up a certain amount. That's how most commercial loans are set up. So if you're financially literate and you can control your spending and you can delay gratification, like, you don't just, as soon as you make $100,000 on a real estate deal, you go and spend 50,000 of it on a vacation in a car. Probably not the best idea. You, like as Robert Kiyosaki says, you want to buy assets, and when those assets start generating income, then you buy fun things. You go buy a 4-unit apartment building that generates $1,000 a month in positive cash flow, and maybe you spend $200, $300, $400, or $500 a month on a nice car or motorcycle or something that you want. But make sure you're not working, putting in time so you can pay for a luxury. Make sure something else is doing that for you, and that's that asset. And the more assets you own, the more things you can buy, the more charities you can give to, the more fun it is just to have money, for sure. It's not going to make you happy, but it is kind of fun to have it. Now, should I amortize my rental property over 30 years? In my opinion, yes and no. If you're financially very literate and you're on top of your numbers and on top of your game, then when you're borrowing money at 3%, 3.5%, 4.5%, 5.5%, 6%, which is relatively low for a commercial loan, you're getting money relatively cheap. So why not stretch that out over 30 years, increase your positive cash flow? Also, remember this, you're writing off the interest that you're paying. So you are getting a tax deduction on interest. You're increasing your tax flow, your cash flow. And on your tax return, you're going to look stronger. And what does that do when you're going to get more money from another bank to expand your portfolio? It looks better. When you're more positive cash flow on your tax return, the bank's going to look at you in a different light and say, well, this guy has great credit, is good income at his regular job, his portfolio is strong and it's cash flowing. We're going to lend that person more money so they can go buy more properties. And that's where you want to use leverage other people's money to buy more properties. So that's where a 30-year can help you. The downside is it's 30 years, right? It's a long time. So there's nothing wrong with doing a 30-year note and just riding it out. Because remember, your property is going up in value. You're paying down the principal balance every month. You're getting tax write-offs, and you're more positive cash flow. Those are the benefits. The downside is going to take forever to pay it off. But that's fine if you just want to amass properties all on 30-year notes. As you start creating more and more positive cash flow, you can always pay those down. You can always decide to refinance them at a lower rate. So for example, if you had a 30-year, you start off 30-year because you want to have a good positive cash flow. Maybe you're not making a lot of money, so every little bit will help. 10 years down the road, let's say the interest rates were 6% when you were purchasing, and now they're 4%. Now would be a fantastic time to refinance, turn that 30-year now into a 15-year at a lower interest rate. So you can always change from a 30 to a 20 or a 15-year. If you want to cash out, if you want to decrease the amount of time it's going to take to pay off that asset. And because now 10 years later, you're in a different income bracket and you don't need that positive cash flow. You're looking for, okay, if I refinance, I can maybe even pull out a few thousand, reduce my interest rate from 6 to 4, chop off 5 years of my mortgage. So you had a 30, 10 years have elapsed. Now you have 20 years left to pay on it. Refinance. Now you only have 15 years. You pull out some cash and your payment stayed the same. That's a beautiful thing. So 30-year is probably the way to go if you're in that situation. There's nothing wrong with doing, if you're making a good amount of money at your regular job. Let's just say you're a financial advisor, you're a doctor, you're making $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 a year or more. And you want to own an asset and you don't really care about the cash flow, you don't need to show the cash flow on your tax return, then there's nothing wrong with a 15-year, as long as it's just a prudent decision. So when you're first starting out, I would say try to amortize your loans over the longest term. Then look at your portfolio every year and just make adjustments or just make notes on where the interest rates are now. Is it a good time to refinance? What can I do with that money? And when you're refinancing too, don't just refinance to pull out money so you can spend it on something that's not another asset. You never want to pull out money at the beginning so you could buy a car, or you can go on a vacation, or it's not a good use of your money. You want your money to work. Your money is a slave to you, and your money should be working for you 24/7. So then you can enjoy those things and delay the gratification to a later date. So the topic today was just, do I do a 30-year, 25, 20, or 15-year note? And that's all going to depend on your business model, how old you are, where you are in your investing in real estate career, and what your income is at your regular day job. You factor all of that in, and then you decide how you're going to amortize it and the route you're going to go. I think just rule of thumb, if you're just starting out, if you can amortize it over a longer period, it's probably going to be better. It's going to look better on your tax return. It's going to look better for cash flow wise. You're getting tax deductions, and the downside is it's just going to take a lot longer to pay off that asset. Again, I'm always available for questions. Just email me, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe to that. My email is alex@alexdeacon.com, and I'm happy to help. This is what I'm here for.